UP top cop has issued directives on identifying and deporting Bangladeshis. Alok Pandey joins us. After the UP top cop has written a letter to district police chiefs asking for action to be taken on this with top priority. Alok Pandey joins us. Alok, at a time when we're hearing so much of follow-ups on NRCs in different states, whether it's Haryana, whether it's Delhi, any state really that's going to the election, why has this come up now? What is the reasoning that the government has given for which the top cop has issued a directive and has asked district police chiefs to act on this on priority?
I think two or three things need to be put into perspective. First of all, directives to identify foreigners, including Bangladeshis, are not new. As the letter written by the DGP itself says, that these directives were first issued by the Home Ministry in 2017 and since then have been issued time and again to district police chiefs. At the same time, the timing is interesting because Yogi Adityanath, the UP Chief Minister, I think about 2 weeks ago, I cannot give you an exact timeline, but he was interviewed by a publication here in Lucknow. And he said that Uttar Pradesh was ready to implement its own version of the NRC. The NRC, of course, is the controversial exercise that's taken place in Assam to identify and perhaps at a later stage deport illegal residents in the state, including Bangladeshis. So Yogi Adityanath was asked a question about it, and he said that Uttar Pradesh would not hesitate to implement a version of the NRC as and when it was required. So is this the government's version of a mini NRC, so to say? The procedures, of course, are, in this case, what the DGP is asking police chiefs to do is to actually go and comb areas close to transport clusters and to comb slum clusters, etc., etc. It's a little vague. I read the letter. I couldn't understand how one would identify somebody. One thing that they say is that suppose the police goes to you, Sarah, and you show them an iCard and you say that I am from X and X place. So the police is then supposed to verify that X and X place and get in touch with authorities there and verify your identification documents. That's what the letter says. It then says that if one person is deemed or identified as a illegal foreigner, then you have to deport that person by getting in touch with the Home Ministry, etc., etc. And all of this should take place in a time-bound manner. Now, this, of course, again, questions will be raised about whether this is political. A by-election to 11 assembly seats is coming up. That will be on the 21st of October. So whether it is being done with that effect or whether there is more to this, whether this is a mini NRC, whether the police knows how many Bangladeshis there are in Uttar Pradesh or how many illegal foreigners there are, whether that distinction between who is an illegal Bangladeshi or a foreigner and who can produce papers to show that he is residing or he is in the country, he or she is in the country with some valid reason, etc. All of those are blurred lines that we need clarity on. So I guess we'll have more once we get to speak to some officials or politicians about what they are thinking.
All right, Alok, I'm going to let you go ahead and do that to find out more. But since you've looked at the letter, the obvious question that arises, that comes to mind is how is this going to be implemented? Because it's worrying. Does this mean then that everybody has to always in the state have some form of identification papers on them, which, can be very difficult for the people? And does this open up a window for misuse of authority? Does this mean police can go into anyone's homes, offices, interrupt their days, wherever they are and ask them for identification papers?
See, one thing that I from the letter was that the directives are going to everyone's home. The directives are for the police to go and comb clusters that are close to these transport hubs, for instance, railway stations, for instance, bus stations, and go to slum clusters or construction sites, etc. But you're very right, all of this can be misused. And what is the safeguard check in place? That is a question to ponder over. At the moment, we only have the letter with us, so we don't know the answers to these questions. Also, I don't think it has started. I mean, they aren't doing anything on a daily basis for us to qualify it and say that what they're doing is right or wrong. But I think we'll have to wait a few days, Sarah. The letter itself is interesting, and the fact that they've chosen to reiterate all of this right now at this juncture, I think that in itself is an interesting point.